All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a while since we met, and it's due to a lot of things that's been going on in my life, and I'm going to discuss a few of those here, as well as tell you also uh, new updates, give you updates on what's happening, especially on this platform with me. And we're going to talk about Ghana. We're about Detty December in Ghana. Okay, so the year is almost coming to an end. It's almost the end of 2024. 2024, my peoples, I tell you, this was the most tumultuous year for me personally. This year was marred by a lot of a lot of challenges. For me personally, I got a divorce. I filed for divorce from a 12-year marriage. See, a man gets to a point in his life when his health becomes very important. I ended up in the emergency room last year because of this marriage. It has been a challenge that has been going on for years, and every marriage has its problems. There's no marriage out here today that doesn't have challenges. But when you're ending up in the emergency room because of your marriage and because of the person you're married to, it's time to get out. It's time to go. And so it was a tough decision that I had to make. See, sometimes the right decisions aren't always the easiest decisions to make. It was a tough decision, but it was the right decision. It has not been easy for me and my children, who I feel are the victim in this whole thing. See, I come from a divorced home. My dad and my mom didn't make it, and they were divorced when I was very young. And there is a saying that says, when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers. So I have just been spending the next few months and the rest of my life helping my kids heal, helping my kids mitigate the damage to my kids. This was over in September. I moved. In August, I moved out of the house, but it was over in September. And I had to go get an apartment. You see, if you guys have been watching me long enough, for those of you who have been my fans, you would have remembered that I predicted what is going on with me today in a video I did live a year ago, where I told you all, don't get married. I told you, man, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Don't do it. It's going to cost you everything. So me telling you not to do it today is not because I'm divorced. I said it when I was married. And I said, don't do it. It doesn't benefit you as a man. It'll cost you more. In my case, it cost me financially as well as my health. Now, I have to say this. I wish the mother of my kids and my ex-wife the best. I wish her the best. What you're not going to hear me on this platform do is demonize her. I'm not going to do that because out of respect for my kids, I'm just not going to do that. I think it's also tacky that anyone would speak ill of their ex. See, I wasn't perfect in this situation. She wasn't perfect in the situation. Why? It wasn't a perfect situation. But I know there's somewhere out there is a person for her, just like there's someone for me out there. But it also does say a lot when a man chooses to walk away from his marriage, especially after 12 years, knowing what he's going to lose in the marriage, and there's no other woman involved in the situation. It says a lot when a man is choosing to move and leave and file for divorce, when 80-something% or 85% of divorces are filed by women, especially here in the United States. When you now find the less than 20% of men that are doing it, and in that also you're finding one that is doing it, and there's no other woman on the side, he's not leaving his wife to go be with some cheap woman out there or any woman out there, it says a lot. So I'm only bringing this up, not that my personal life is none of your business, but because a lot of you who have been watching me for a while, especially my day ones, have often heard me talk about my family, my now ex-wife, and my children, and how I bragged about them. It has been one of my most proudest things as a man, right? But in all of that, there's also been this underlying thing that I've been dealing with as a man in that. It's none of your business. I shouldn't be sharing that with you, and I didn't. You shouldn't be talking about your personal situation like that, especially when it comes to your spouse, on a public platform. Why? Right? You deal with it with the person. I'm only bringing it up because you're going to now hear me refer to my life as a single man and a single father who's enjoying his time with his kids. You're going to hear me talk about that. And I don't want it to come as a surprise to any of you to be like, yo, I thought you were married. Right? So that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. So that way you are aware of the major development in my life. And like I said, my children and I are picking up the rest of our lives and we're moving on. See, I have my kids. The way I had it structured when I loyaled up, I had to get a lawyer to help me through the divorce proceedings. Because of the kind of man I am, I wasn't going to abandon my children to my ex-wife. It's not her alone to take care of. We both brought the kids into this world. You understand what I'm saying? So it's our equal responsibility to ensure that their happiness, their growth, their provision, their life is what we both equally do. Because it takes two to bring people into this world. It's not her responsibility alone. So I fought for 50-50. And I ensured that in our divorce decree, it was in there that we both have our kids 50-50 and we're responsible for our kids 50-50. So I have my kids a whole full week. She has them every other week. So we both have them alternatively every other week. And I gotta tell you, man, when I have my kids, it's the highlight of my day. Like right now, I don't have my kids. I pick them up tomorrow. No, Monday. What am I talking about? This is Saturday. So I pick them up on Monday, and I have them from Monday through Monday, right? And I drop them off, and she has them the following week, and then I pick them up. That's how it's been going since August. Now, here's what I want to talk to you guys about as men. And I'm going to get off this topic because I think it's important that men need to know this. Men, don't ever get married. Don't do it. It is not going to benefit you. Don't do it. Now, I'm not saying that because I wish ill for you. I'm saying that because the dynamic in our country today, as relates to how women have been propped up, how women have been empowered, how women have been told they can do no wrong, it is not going to benefit you. I'm going to use the situation in my case as an example. The house. The house is your biggest asset no matter what part of the world you live in. It's going to be your biggest asset. I don't care if you're a celebrity. I don't care if you're a millionaire. Your house is mostly going to be your biggest asset unless you have a business. But even the business is a liability, right? Most people consider their house as an asset. Your house is going to be your biggest asset, and that you're going to lose. In my situation, she get to keep the house. So you have to move out to go start all over. That's not easy. It takes an emotional toll on a man. Psychologically, it really affects your spirit. It's really a hard place. I don't think a lot of women appreciate or know what men deal with. That many men can't handle it, and a lot of people are ending it. Like I said in that video, I'm going to link that video that I did a year ago where I talked about this. It's almost like I predicted what's going on in my life in that video. And everything I said in that video couldn't be any more true today. Right? I'm going to link it so you can go watch it. It was a live video. And a lot of you who watched that video can attest to what I'm saying today. She got to keep the house. Now, here's the dynamic that happened in that situation. Because we both are joint owners of the house. I'm the primary and a purchaser of the house. She's a co-purchaser. And we live in Texas. Texas is a community property state. Now, in Texas, when there are children involved, there's no judge that's going to give you the house. The judge is going to tell you to take a walk and award you the equity in the house. It's usually nothing because you get to go start all over, right? In my situation, I remembered when it was getting to the point where I knew that I was going to lose. I've been dealing with this since January, since the beginning of the year. We hadn't been talking to each other since the beginning of the year. We've been staying in the same house. She's been staying in the kids' room. I was staying in our bedroom. She just moved out and went and stayed in our kids' room. We haven't been talking with each other. It's been going on. When I decided that I was just going to move forward with a divorce, I knew the reality was going to hit, and I knew I was going to lose financially. I knew that. I thought it through. I knew it. But my health, like I said, it gets to a point in time when a man's health is very important, especially if you're ending up in an emergency room because of the marriage. You got to get out of that situation. But I knew the reality also is that I was going to be left with a financial burden. I remember going out one time, and I'm about to talk about this brother who is a brother to me today. His name is Nick. He's a white brother. Nick will forever be my brother. You see, you run into a lot of us use the word brother loosely. You're not a brother until a brother shows up when you need them to show up. Nick, if you're watching, I know he's watching. He's always watching my shows. And I told him, you got to come on the platform. He's not the kind of guy. He doesn't want to come on the platform. He's just like, I ran into Nick on one of the times I went out with a few friends of mine who I was dealing with this, and I didn't tell them what was going on because none of their business. You know, see, I'm mature enough to know that you don't tell people about what's going on in your family life. I discussed my family, my marriage over the years with my father, who was alive. My father was my confidant. He's since passed in 2019. A lot of you have heard me talk about my father. My father is my hero. And he's more my hero because when my father and my mother divorced, my father didn't abandon us as kids. And that forever left a mark on me. That forever left a mark as a man on me. And what he taught me over the years, my father wasn't perfect, but he gave me the tool as a man that I needed to be able to survive. The tools that I've used to survive this last few months. Which is why my father, in all of his imperfection, will always forever be my hero. Which is why I can never abandon my own kids. It's all because of what my father put inside of me. You see, men don't get a lot of credit. Many people talk about mothers and wives and women all the day. Me, I brag about my father. So he's the only one I would confide in when I was going through over the years. And ever since then, there was nobody else that I confided in. So when I go out with friends, I didn't speak about my marriage. But when I knew it was a done deal, when I had made the decision to file, I told two of my friends who were strong friends of mine. I remember we were out one day, a couple of months ago. This is back in June or July. I remember we're out and we ran into Nick. Nick is a white guy, one of our out. He overheard my conversation. And he's like, yo, can I talk to you for a second? And he brought it in, you know. And we just hit it off. And Nick heard my conversation. He encouraged me. He went through the exact same thing. In this case, he was left penniless. And this was years for him now, right? And I've hung out with Nick. Nick told me, right, when we was getting close to me leaving the house, Nick said, I will write you a check to buy her out. You didn't hear me. Nick, this white brother. See, it's amazing what you find in your friend. It's many times when I come on this platform and I'll talk about white people. The reason why I always tell you that white people are not my enemy is because I've met the likes of Nick over the years. You know, I mean, not every one of them is offering to write me a check, but I've met good ones, even while we have a lot of not so good ones, right? Which is why I can never, and I've never said on my platform that white folks or my enemy. Nick offered to write me a check. I thought he was joking until I went to see his house. And this guy is loaded. So I will write you a check. It'll be a loan. Because he wanted me not to lose everything. In the event that, she decides, because, we had the house and we're going to talk about splitting the house. Right? Say, buy out so you keep the house. I was like, what? You gonna? He's like, don't worry about it. Because he went through similar and he knew the pain. And that whole thing, you could tell from his passion, just like I am passionate right now. You could feel it from him. How his ex-wife left him penniless. And so with that information, amazing who God brings into your life. When you're going through what you're going through. It's amazing. Right? I've never talked about Nick. This is the first time I'm talking about him. And he's watching this. You're a brother. And I've told you this many times. You're a brother. So I went to my attorney and said, listen, here's what I'm trying to do. My attorney, who God blessed him too, and I'm so glad I met him. You see, one of the things that gave me peace of mind that the decision I was making was the right decision was the number of people that God put in my life. The people that God put in my path that have been a blessing in this whole thing. Otherwise, I would have broken down and I would just, who knows? I would have just broken down because this whole thing was a heavy burden to bear. So I told my attorney, I said, he's like, here, okay, you can offer to buy her out, but here's the reality of what you're going to face. Now, he's coming at it from a legal standpoint because he's a lawyer. Is that you can offer, and you should, but in Texas and the United States, you're more likely and most likely going to lose that battle if she decides that she wants to keep the house. If she says, and he tells me, go into that conversation prepared for this. If she says, no, I don't want to sell the house, I don't want you to buy me a house, I want to keep the house, you're going to lose the battle. And what are you going to do? Because if you drag it all the way to the court, no judge is going to give you the house. Especially with your children involved in it. They'll see that as the primary place for the kids. The kids need to stay at the house. Young man, you need to go find a place. He says, so go in there with that expectation. But have it in record, have the conversation recorded. That way, if she says tomorrow, and she starts running her mouth and going around and telling all kind of story, you have that, and not to mention it's called defamation of character. So he advised me on this. That's all right. So I went in the conversation. I remember the conversation very well. We were at the dining table at our house, the old house. And I said, hey, let me buy you out. And she said, no. So, of course, I anticipated that and expected it because I had a conversation with my lawyer. She said she'll buy me out instead with the equity that we had in the house. So I said, okay. Okay. So I left. Now, it's not easy for me to leave and get qualified for a new house. I had to go stay in an apartment, which is going to be your reality if you're married today. And God forbid you get divorced. I pray you don't get a divorce. I pray your marriage lasts. I pray you're married to the right person. Right? I pray that it works out for you. But the reality of most men who get divorced, like myself and my brother Nick, right, is that we lose the thing. Men are more likely to lose. Women don't lose in a divorce. I said this many times. Women do not lose. Women don't lose in a divorce. Men lose. So I get to go start all over, to go spend money, to go stay here, to move, which costs money, which is emotional turmoil in between work and all of that, which is why many of you have not seen me on the platform. It's been hard. I'm in a house today, but it's been hard. And the financial loss is going to take me a while to gain. Right? But I am happy today because I don't have to get up every day and strive with someone and have the type of headache I've had over the last few years. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and demonize the mother of my kids. It's not what this is about. But I want to use it as a teaching lesson, my experience. Because if I don't use my experience to teach you, well, then what the hell do I have a platform for? Right? If I'm not impacting to you and helping you to understand what you should be mindful of One thing I'll tell you right now, man, don't ever get married. Don't do it. If you're going to do it, make sure you vet her 4 or 5 years before you get into it. And if you're going to get into it and you have an asset, make sure you sign a prenup. Don't fall for the whole love you, we're going to be here forever. Don't do it. Okay. So that's been the major development in my life. But I'm happy. I feel good. I've been buried in work and building my business and picking the rest of my life up, spending time with my kids, and just moving on with our lives. And so that's the story behind that. The other thing that I want to talk about is that because I've been involved now with business, right? Nick and I have been involved in building the business I want to talk to you guys about. Because what I've realized is our people are in pain. Our people, right? My people, the ones watching me today, you guys are in pain. And you're struggling emotionally, financially. Our people are having it really bad. I've had a series of conversations over the last few weeks, and I've met people, and it has caused me to go in the direction that I am in right now, where I want to impact and teach people life lessons. One of the key things I want to help you with, I want to use this platform for, is to help you build your finances. You see, when you go through a divorce, like I've gone through, you realize the vulnerability you have been the entire time when you weren't married. You see, when you were married, you didn't realize that you were in a vulnerable state. You didn't realize it. A lot of you, while you're watching right now, married, you don't realize it because you don't think about those things like that. I mean, who thinks about it? But you're in a vulnerable state because we're in a society where 80%, 85% of women are filing for divorce. That's a high number. So if your wife today decides that she wants to divorce you today, what are you going to do? That's a question you need to ask. So a lot of our people are not in financial position to really kind of stand through this. Many of us are wiped out with debt. Many of us don't even have good credit score. I realize that many people have a horrible credit score, which is the issue and the foundation of your bad finances. If your credit score is bad, your life is going to be expensive for you. You can't do nothing. You can't get an apartment. You can't even get a cell phone in your name. Jobs nowadays require you to run your credit history. It's our whole life. And because I have an 800 credit score, which I've had to build over the years, it didn't just happen overnight. It took years for me to build. I used to have a 576 credit score. Right? I used to have very bad. And it took me taking action to build my credit score from that to where I can boast of an 800 on one model. I mean, the bank, when the bank ran my credit, I was at 806. My FICO score. The FICO score is your middle number. It's between your high and the low number, your FICO score. I was at 806. But with the Experian, the one that you have, which I have, the app, and I have subscription, I'm at 797 with that. So depending on different model, right? But either way, I'm at high 700s. I can boast today of, I have an Amex. I just recently applied for an Amex card, American Express, business card for my business. The business I have a credit repairing agency right now where I'm teaching people. I had a master class 2 weeks ago where I had a group of people where I'm teaching them how to build their credit. I'm going to have another one in January. So look out for that. I'm going to announce it. When I announce it, I'm going to put it out there so you can go. It's a company that was created over the last couple of months when I knew I was going to be out of this marriage and when this marriage is over, right? My company is licensed in Texas, bonded by the Secretary of State in Texas. So this is not just a fly-by-night thing. We're licensed, bonded in Texas to offer the type of services I'm offering. So I want to take you from your bad credit score to where you can boast of the 700, where I have an Amex card, which is where I was trying to get to. Amex gave me a business card. We're talking about person now. American Express gave me a business. They approved me for 2 lines of credit. One where they gave me a $20,000 credit line, and the other was an open credit line. An open credit line is essentially where you can charge whatever you want to charge on that. So I have a purchasing power with American Express of $500,000. $500,000. So that means I can charge up to $500,000 on my credit. Now, I decided not to opt into that, even though that is something they approved me for. I can always jump into that later on. I have something else I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work with when I'm going to need that. But I have a $20,000 credit line for my business. That my business is for my business, where they're reporting it to your business. You get a score like you get with your personal life, but I have to personally guarantee it. And then Chase offered me, and they gave me a credit line of $15,000 for my business. And of course, I have my personal business card with Capital One. Now, why am I saying all of this? I'm saying this because it helps life easy when you can have funding for what you need it for. Life becomes very easy. We have funding, and I want to teach people how to get there. I want to teach you that. I want to teach you how to move your credit score from where I had it. And I want to give you a story. I'm going to give you a quick story how I messed up my credit real quickly. Now I'll move on to Ghana. We got to talk about Ghana. So back when I'm an immigrant. When I first came to this country, like many of us, we're not taught financing. Forget being an immigrant. Even just being black. A lot of black people don't have financial literacy, right? It's like you're not taught that. So I remember when I was in school, I just enrolled in college. And while walking the hallways, I saw these credit card companies. They posted a booth, and they were they were giving credit cards to students. This is how I messed my credit card, because I didn't have an education on financing. This is when I was like 22 years old. And they were like, listen, if you're a student at that school, you can get a credit card. And I was like, what? You lying. What do you mean a credit card? We give you money. Yeah, you can spend money and you can pay whenever, that kind of thing. So I went and stayed in line. You should have seen me. I got in line. I was like, no way. They're going to go give me money? Yeah. So I stayed in line. And I got $500 was all they can give. I didn't have credit, right? I had no credit history. Give me $500. I remember the card came in the mail. The day it came in the mail, I'm telling you this. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember taking that card out, it has all the terms of the credit, and I ripped the whole thing, put it in the trash, went straight to the ATM and took all that money out. I got all that money out. Cash advance, when you heard me. I got all that money out. I gotta pay these bills. What are you talking about? Yo, that was the biggest mistake. Of course, now that I'm financially sound, that was the biggest and dumbest thing I could have done. And then I did a lot of things that many of us are probably doing today. It's like, don't worry about it. I don't need it. Go through life, right? And then you find out that you're going through life, you're paying too much, your expenses are high, you can't even get anything. They can't even sign you up for a cell phone. Your life becomes very, very impossible. Until I made a decision to begin working on my personal credit. This was years ago. So there's a story there, and there's a strategy I used, right? And it cost me a lot of money to read books, get courses, to educate myself. And I want to share that with people. So like I said, I had a master class 2 weeks ago, and I had 40 people in the class. And now I'm going to have another one in January, right? And we haven't announced the date. but when I announce it, I'll let you guys know where you can go in, you can come in and you can learn the stuff I'm talking about. Right? Right? For $49 is what we charge the last MasterCard. You can come in a group session, and if you want a personalized session one-on-one with me, it's $99, almost $100. All right, you can have a personalized where I can look at what you've got and I can tell you, yo, here's what you need to do. Right? And in my class, my students, in my class, I'm showing them my own credit. Right? So that way you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's an adage you say in Yoruba. There's a Yoruba adage that says, if a person wants to sell you shoes, you gotta look at the shoes he's got on. Right? If his shoes is messed up, how you gonna sell you shoes? So how am I going to tell you how to build your credit? Well, my credit is not, right? So in my class, last class, my students saw me pull up my credit, even though I had to block some personal information. But they saw my credit information. So, I'm not just blowing smoke here. I wasn't born with that. I had to do some things. And those things that I did to build my credit to where it is today are things that I want to teach you. So again, like I said, I'll announce it when that time comes, and you can go and sign up for the class if you're interested. Now let's talk about fun stuff. I'm going to Ghana, man. With all the stuff that's been going on in my life, I am going to Ghana. I am going to Ghana for Detty December. Ghana, my people, I am coming to your country. I am so excited about this. I'm going to Ghana to go take care of some business. But while I'm there, I am going to indulge in the Detty December events. I've heard about this for years. I want to go and see what's going on. I want to see the people of Ghana. I want to see the culture, the food, the women. You heard me? I want to understand what's happening in that country. And I want to report, is it a hype that our old our African-American brothers and sisters are going to Ghana? Is that hype? Is there something to Ghana? Because everyone talks about Ghana. And I've talked about Ghana on my show. I've bigged up Ghana and I've criticized Ghana. But now I'm going to be there live in person. I'm leaving on the 20th. I'll be in Ghana for 8 days. I'm so excited about it. And I'm going to document my time in Ghana. And I am going to give it to you guys. I'm going to put it mostly on Patreon. All the fun stuff and all that I'm going to put on Patreon. I'm also going to start putting things on my Patreon. All my educational piece I'm putting on my Patreon. I'm going to leave some on this channel, but I'm going to mostly put them on Patreon. Especially my fun stuff in Ghana. It's going to be on Patreon. So sign up for Patreon and go become a Patreon. When I'll be there, I'm going to document all of that. I'm going to see what is it a hype for Detty December. I'm excited because from what I've heard so far about Ghana is what I've heard good things, and I want to go see for a fact. One thing I will tell you for a fact though, so far, is that Ghana making the experience of applying for a visa. That I got to talk about. We got to talk about that right now. I got to give it up to Ghana. See, I applied for a visa for this trip. That whole process, from the moment I went on the website, Ghana made that whole process very, very easy to where you fill your application out, you upload your information. I got my visa in 7 days. Not only did I get it in 7 days, right? Because I paid for the expedited processing. But with the moment they got it, they sent me an email. We got your information. Your information is now on stage 1. It has been moved to. They literally sent me email every step of the process of my application. To the moment when they mailed it out and told me exactly when I was going to get it, I got exactly that. That to me, I gotta tell you, yo, I could not believe it. I could not believe it. That process was amazing, and I gotta give it up to Ghana. Because I think what Ghana did, Ghana realized that the world, it opened up its world since the year of the return, which I've been critical about. And a lot of people have been going to Ghana. And Ghana had to make sure that they put a process in place, which they did. I can attest to this because I went through it. That was seamless and the experience was easy for people outside of the country, right? Outside of Ghana to be able to easily be able to apply to go to their country. And they made that so easy. So with that being said, I'm excited to go to Ghana, and I can't wait. And when I come back, we'll hit the masterclass running hard. I'm going to announce the next date. I'm also going to put a link in this video where you can kind of sign up and put your email on a waiting list so you can be notified once my masterclass gets announced. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I know this video was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to give you guys an update and let you know where we're going and how this platform is going to evolve moving forward. But I want to thank every one of you who has been a subscriber of my channel. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your faith and your confidence in me. Thank you for staying tuned. Keep staying tuned because we've got a lot. I'm going to teach you a lot. I'm going to impact a lot into your lives. I'm going to give you so much value. You're going to get much value from this platform than you've ever gotten in the past. I'm going to also financially empower you so you can be financially free and live the lifestyle that you want to live and you duly deserve. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like the video, share the content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next time.
Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger är min tid. Jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda